My wife cheated, thinking she upgraded. She laughed in my face, saying, "I'm leaving you." She thought she had found someone better. But weeks later, her new lover dumped her too. She called me, crying, begging for another chance. I just smiled. The night she shattered everything was supposed to be special. We were out celebrating our anniversary at an upscale restaurant. The ambience was perfect. The soft glow of candlelight flickered across the table, the faint hum of a jazz band serenading us from the corner. The world outside seemed distant, suspended in a moment that promised love and connection. For a split second, I allowed myself to believe that maybe, just maybe, everything would turn out the way we dreamed. But then, she leaned across the table. Her lips curled into a smirk that I'd never seen before, and a chill ran down my spine. "I need to tell you something," she said, her voice calm, too calm. It should have set off alarms in my head, but instead, I nodded, expecting something sentimental, a sweet declaration of affection for the years we'd spent together. Her next words pierced through the warm glow of the restaurant, cutting through the soft jazz and the clinking of silverware. "I've met someone else. And I'm leaving you." My chest tightened. For a moment, the world blurred around me, my heart pounding so loudly I could barely hear the hum of the restaurant. She sipped her wine as if the words she'd just uttered were nothing, just another passing thought. Her eyes locked on mine, studying my reaction. I could feel the heat rising in my face, but I swallowed the bile that threatened to rise in my throat. I forced a smile, not because I believed it, but because I had no other choice. "That's great," I muttered. She tilted her head, her eyes narrowing. "You're not mad?" I looked at her, trying to see the woman I thought I knew, but all I saw was a stranger, a woman who'd decided her happiness was more important than the years we'd spent together. "No," I said, my voice cold. "Just don't come crawling back when he leaves you too." Her laughter rang out, cruel and mocking. "That's never going to happen. He's everything you're not." She had no idea what was coming. That night, she packed her bags. She walked out the door without even a second thought. The weight of her departure settled in slowly, like a cold mist creeping over me, suffocating any warmth I'd once had. I didn't beg. I didn't fight. I just stood there, watching as the woman I'd loved for years, who I trusted with my heart, left me for someone else. She moved in with him the very next day, as if I had never existed. And me? I waited. Because I knew the truth. I had nothing left to lose, so I watched, like an outsider, as her world crumbled from the inside out. There was something strangely cathartic about watching her parade her new perfect life. She posted every detail of their relationship, from lavish dinners to weekend trips. To the world, she was happy. But I knew better. I knew that perfection was a lie. At first, everything seemed perfect for her. She was living the dream, right? A shiny new man, a life filled with all the luxuries I could never give her. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, the cracks began to show. The posts became less frequent. The smiles in the photos looked forced, as though they were rehearsed for an audience that wasn't even there. Then I started hearing whispers from mutual friends. People who had once been close to us, people who'd seen the cracks forming long before I did. They told me things weren't as perfect as she made them seem. They weren't even close. But still, I said nothing. I did nothing. I just waited. And in the meantime, I picked up the pieces of my own life. I focused on me, on healing, on rebuilding the parts of me that had been torn apart by her betrayal. But the truth was, I wasn't just healing. I was plotting. Then it happened. One night, a friend of mine sent me a text that hit me like a ton of bricks. The words were simple: "You won't believe this, but she just got dumped." At first, I didn't believe it. I couldn't. The world she'd built was too flawless, too carefully curated for something like this to happen. But then, the pieces started to fit. Her perfect man had gotten bored, he'd moved on to someone else, leaving her in the same empty space she'd created for me. Her world had collapsed. She wasn't the victim. She was just another woman who had made a terrible decision, convinced that she was trading up. And now she had nothing. I couldn't help but feel a bitter sense of vindication. The woman who had discarded me so easily, who had thought she was better than me, was now facing the same emptiness she had left me to wallow in. Days later, I got the text I had been expecting. "Can we talk? Please?" I ignored it. Then came another one. "I made a mistake. Can we just meet?" Then a call. Another text. The messages poured in like a dam breaking, one after another, until I couldn't ignore them anymore. She was desperate. She was broken. And yet, the part of me that had once loved her, a part one had thought was dead, felt something stir. Guilt? Maybe. But more than that, I felt a strange sense of power. She needed me now, the man she had walked away from so easily. I let it all build up. I finally answered her call. "What do you want?" My voice was calm, colder than I intended. Her voice trembled. "I was wrong. I miss you. Can we fix this?" I couldn't help the smile that crept onto my lips. This was my moment. I agreed to meet her. It was the same restaurant where she had left me. The place that had once been our sanctuary, now a cold reminder of what she had done. She sat across from me, her eyes swollen from crying, her face pale and exhausted. "I was stupid," she whispered. "I thought he was better, but he wasn't you. Can we just start over?" I took a long breath, savoring the silence between us. She thought she had one. She thought she had everything she wanted. But now, I was in control. I leaned back in my chair, not even a flicker of emotion crossing my face. "No." Her face fell. "But we were happy once," she protested, her voice cracking with the desperation she'd tried so hard to hide. I shook my head. "No. I was happy. You were just looking for something better. And now? You have nothing." The words hung in the air between us, heavy and final. I stood up, leaving some cash on the table, and walked out without a second glance. I didn't even look back. I thought about her as I walked away. She had lost everything. She had thought she could replace me, but in the end, it was her own choices that had led her to this point. I had my dignity intact, and that was something she would never have again. She thought she was trading up. She thought she was choosing a better life. But in the end, she lost everything. And I? I walked away from the ruins of our past, a man reborn, empowered by the lessons of betrayal, armed with the strength to never let myself be a victim again.